Welcome into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. I know not the outcome you guys were hoping for, but I have to imagine that you learned a lot about your team with that comeback and the fact that they didn't let the game get away from them. So what did you feel like that showed you about who these guys are?
Yeah, I think our guys are going to fight. It's a 60-minute game. We got to quit getting behind in the first quarter, but I know we're going to fight. We made great adjustments at halftime and played really good. We left some scoring opportunities out there that we should have scored points on.
I'm sure that just saying, what's been the difference in the first quarter is a complicated question, and one that I'm sure you'd say if you knew the answer, you guys would have already done things differently. But have you at least been able to figure out any kind of consistent themes or individual things you can point to of why the first quarter has been so different?
We're just not making enough adjustments early in ball games on third down. Teams that game plan you certain ways, and then we've got to make better adjustments, all 11 guys, and to convert those very manageable third downs in the first quarter to maintain possession.
And I have to imagine one of the bright spots of the game for you was that you guys were able to hit a few more deep balls that I think Tom was about 4 of 8 on throws over 20 yards or so. There was the 44-yarder to Godwin, a 48 to Gronk, a 31 to Mike Evans. What did you feel like was a little bit different in that regard for this game as compared to some of the recent weeks?
That's just better protection. And again, 11 guys playing, and everybody on the same page, and Tom delivering the ball perfectly.
And you mentioned the protection, getting Marpet back, getting Donovan Smith back. Tell us just what that has meant to this offensive line, and also take us through the decision process of when you knew each of those guys would be available and how those decisions were made.
Well, practiced most of the week, but it was very soft practices, and we found out that he would go Saturday morning. He cleared the protocol Saturday morning. Donovan, I didn't think would play. He showed up in a walking boot, went out, gave it a shot, and said, "Hey, I can play. Maybe I'll get through a half. I don't know if I can get through the game." I say, "Hey, the half is good for me." And he played the whole game and played really, really well. So really proud of both those guys.
You've had so many guys playing through and fighting through injuries this year. I think that a lot of fans even forget guys like Chris Godwin is still playing with a broken finger. And what does that mean for you as a coach when you see that from your guys, and what can that do in the course of the season as you get late in a year like this and have such a late bye week?
Yeah, you knew it was going to happen. Having that late bye week, guys are going to have to play with some injuries and pain, and our guys have sucked it up. And again, can't say enough about them, especially Chris. Chris could have sat out all that time. Anybody else, most of the guys would. And he just, tapes a splint on and let's go, and he never drops a ball.
Yeah, it's incredible. He finished with 97 yards. What did you see that worked so well for him in that game against the Chiefs?
Yeah, he worked the middle of the field really, really well. And Tom found him. I thought Chris played an outstanding ball game, blocking and receiving. And again, when we can find him in the middle of the field, he's going to do a lot of damage.
And Mike Evans added another 2 touchdowns. It just feels like he is so automatic when it comes to that. So can you take us through each of his touchdowns and what worked on those plays?
Yeah, the 4th down play was a little out and up play. They jammed everybody to the left, and Mike put a great move on the corner. And again, Tom put a dime on him on the out and up and got the touchdown. The other one, again, we had a little stack play to the left. He beat his man so fast off line, guy grabbed his face mask. And again, Tom put it on him. So, yeah, Mike's playing really, really well.
And specifically in the end zone, why is that such an area that he's that automatic? He's now tied for 2nd in the league with 11 receiving touchdowns. And I think he's only the 3rd wide receiver in Brady's career to have at least 10 in a season. So that's saying something about not only what Mike can do in the end zone, but his connection with Brady when it comes to the end zone. What have you seen about why that has been so successful for the two of them this year?
They put a lot of work in down there, a lot of work in there all year. And but Mike's a big target, and he's also quick off the ball. He can get his releases, and he's an easy target to hit. And Tom's done a great job delivering it to him.
It was Gronk's first 100-yard game as a Buccaneer. So what particularly did you see from how the Chiefs were playing him, or what you guys were doing offensively that led to that kind of a game for him?
Yeah, a couple of times they went double to the outside and opened up the middle. That's why Chris was so good. And again, Gronk was so good. Found him down the middle twice, then a big play action pass over the top on the crossing route. Great protection on that play. When a guy has to run that far, the offensive line and the other tight ends doing a heck of a job protecting.
Yeah, and take us through specifically those, especially the two big yard gain plays, the 48-yarder and the 29-yarder, and what Gronk specifically did that made those so impressive and so good.
And for him, it was just running straight line fast. I mean, the middle linebacker kind of just went under him, and he ran right past him and split the two safeties. The other was a deep crossing route. Mike cleared out and took two guys, a corner and the safety, out in the zone, and then we had a drag route underneath. So Gronk did a great job of keep climbing into that zone and Tom put a great ball on it.
I know there were 3 targets, I think, for Antonio Brown, 1 for Scotty Miller. I know Antonio Brown in particular had been targeted a few more times in these recent games. What was it about the game plan on Sunday that didn't lend itself quite as much to the two of them getting as many targets?
Yeah, this was another one where a lot of times there was doubling the two outside guys. And we knew the inside guys were going to have to make a lot of money for us, and they did. I thought the inside game was great. It just happens that way. It depends where the covers dictate where the ball goes. We don't dictate where the ball goes.
And 2 interceptions for Brady on the game. Can you take us through those 2 plays and what led to those?
Yeah, one was a blitz zero coverage, and Mike ran more of a slant. He should have went straight up, but the ball hit the guy in the helmet, and just one of those really weird things that happened because it would have been a good play. And the other, we just missed a protection. Tyron blitzed off the edge and got an up and under move and just forced him off his spot enough where he couldn't get enough on the ball.
And Ronald Jones, that 37-yard career, for his first career touchdown reception, and his little tiptoe down the sideline. I mean, I felt like that was a play that really showed his potential, some of the glitz and glamour of the way that he can play at times. And I wanted to hear for you watching that play, what was going through your mind and what that says about the kind of player he is when that specific play.
Yeah, when we can get the ball to him in the passing game, he can do a lot of damage. And, he's capable of that. And when he was so fast, I think he shocked them all how fast he was down that sideline. And then his balance was incredible. I thought Rode ran the ball really, really well. And again, if we don't fall behind 3 scores in the second half, we can stay with the running game more.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I know you guys would have liked to have been able to go to it more with the parts that you did use the running game in. How did you feel like it looked, and how did you feel like the different guys you called upon performed?
Yeah, that was good. I thought it was a good job staying with the game plan and keeping the run involved. And, I think the 3 really big drives, not getting the touchdown on the first drive of the second half and settling for a field goal. And then the 2 times we were inside the scoring zone area, we didn't come out with anything. That were the 2 turnovers. And those 6 points would have been huge in this game.
All right, well, we still have plenty more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. And, having Allie and Donovan back in the lineup, first time in a while that you got to see your entire starting offensive line back there together. I wanted to hear how you felt like their performance was overall, run game, pass game, and big picture.
Running game was outstanding, and passing game, it was solid most of the night. There were a couple of blitzes that we didn't handle very well when the running back and a cross blitz inside that puts them too much pressure. We're going to handle that better.
And I know that you've mentioned the struggle on third downs offensively, especially early. What are some of the things that you guys can do to try to make those a little bit more manageable or more efficient, and some of the guys on the team that really could be able to step up in that role?
Yeah, we can't get them any more manageable. I think each and every one of them was 6 or less. And we got to do a better job when teams are going to blitz us of handling the blitz, receiver, protection, and quarterback all together. It's 11 guys out there. When it's not just finger pointing at one guy, it's 11 guys. When teams are blitzing, it takes everybody.
And of course, TYREEK Hill finished with 269 yards, 200 of them in the first quarter. Explain why he is so tough to guard. What makes him such an effective wide receiver?
Well, he's 4'2", and he doesn't drop the ball very often. And Carlton's really fast. He got beat on a double move on the first one, and the quarterback can't have that much time. If we're blitzing and putting him in man-to-man, the ball's got to come out under 3. And I think it was about 3.5. And, he got beat on a double move for a long ball. And that safety, he outran the safety also. 2 of them other ones were great throws. I mean, he's plastered next to the guy, and Patrick just put 2 great balls in there.
So overall, you feel like I feel like these are the plays where people notice the DB that's guarding him, but there is a lot more to it than it just being about Carlton. Overall, how do you feel like looking at Carlton's performance, the defense overall? Where's some of the idea of how much that was on Carlton versus other people?
Well, the pass rush has got to get home. And again, the safety could have helped him more. Sometimes you don't get any help. You just got to man up and cover your guy, even if he's a great player, because I think Carlton's a great player. And so we got to do a better job there. I thought our defense did a great job of adjusting and holding them to the points we did in the second half. And our red zone defense was outstanding, holding them to field goals. Just those big plays cost us.
All right. Well, we still have plenty more coming up here with head coach Bruce Arians talking about this Chiefs game. Looking forward to the bye week and even a little bit the Vikings game moving forward. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. I know you were missing JAMEL Dean in the game because of the concussion. Ross Cockrell stepped in for him, and I wanted to hear what you've seen about missing JAMEL Dean, what that means to your defense overall, and maybe specifically against a team like the Chiefs when they are a speedier group and he's going to be one of your faster DBs.
Yeah, we always miss JAMEL. When you're missing starters, it's crucial, especially when you're playing a team with that many wideouts who are so good. I thought Ross stepped in and did a heck of a job, especially playing the nickel, put Sean back outside. And Sean, it's a shame he lost his interception on that penalty. Those guys, I think we obviously miss him, but I thought especially Ross did a good job.
And speaking of that interception that was negated, there were 2 of those where you guys were going to be able to have interceptions and they were negated by penalties. Take us through both of those plays and what you saw in those from a positive standpoint of it was basically an interception and then the negative of what got it negated.
Well, I think one, Patrick knew that we had jumped offside, so he just took a chance and threw it because he knew he was going to get a penalty. And we jumped offsides 3 times, and we just cannot do that. The other, I thought, was a very questionable call on JPP. I thought when he reached for the quarterback, he hit his arm, and the arm grazed his helmet. I didn't think it was a forcible blow to his head. And again, Sean made a great interception. That one, they don't score, but it took almost 4 minutes off the clock by the time we got the ball back, which was huge at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And I know you've harped so much on the pre-snap penalties this year, and it has been really great since that Chicago game. This still wasn't a huge penalty game in terms of lots of penalties and yards, but I feel like some of them were definitely in some key moments. How did you feel overall about how clean the game was and how you felt about some of those penalties?
Yeah, I think we got to do a better job. We cannot jump off sides. We got to watch the ball. And then our defensive coaches preach it all the time, and we can't have it. Other penalties are going to happen. I thought Alley's one holding penalty was a little ticky-tacky. I think there was some missed. But the big one for me was JPP's roughing the passer penalty. I didn't think it was a penalty.
I know it can feel kind of tough to looking at the defensive performance, knowing that Mahomes had, 462 yards, but the defense did have some really big stops with goal to go, making him throw it away several times, key times holding them to a field goal or making them punt several times in a row. So looking at all of that together, how do you evaluate the defensive performance on the whole?
We just got to get off to a better start. We're not matching teams' best plays. When you every week, the coordinator, whoever's calling plays, has got his top 15 that he's going to start with, and we're not matching it. We're not matching the speed of it. We've given up too many early touchdowns and making us play from behind. Then we adjust and play really well. Probably the best second half defense in the league right now. But we got to play better in the first quarter.
And how did you feel about the way that you guys handled their run game? That's definitely an area they've done really well in this year. Have that rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's had some big games for them. Overall, how did you feel like you were able to hold them in the run game?
Oh, I think we stopped that really, really, really well. It was the quarterback who got us in the run game. When you look at the rushing yards, the one option play and then the scrambling, especially at the end of the game, making those first downs was huge for them. But the two running backs, I thought we stuffed them pretty good.
And as much as I know we talked about that JPP penalty, that was unfortunate, but he did add a sack, and you also had Shaq getting a sack and forced fumble. How did you feel like the two of them played, and considering how challenging the Chiefs are to get a lot of pressure because of all the different options and things that they can do and how mobile a guy like Mahomes is?
Yeah, I thought both outside linebackers had really good ball games, and that was a big sack fumble for us, stopped the momentum. We got a touchdown and really turned the ball game back around for us. I wish we'd have got a little more pressure. We got real close a couple of times, but again, he just keeps backpedaling. And there's no other quarterback I've ever seen that can just backpedal, and then throw it accurately down the field, way down the field.
Yeah, and how does that affect what you guys try to do on defense or are able to do? What are the things about Mahomes that are such unique challenges, and how it can change the way you guys use your normal game plan?
But you have to rush. You're not going to sit there and just wait for him. You got to go after him, but you have to have some discipline. We did contain him. They need to go underneath us and got out a couple times, especially in that fourth quarter drive.
And that was Shaq's 8th forced fumble since the start of last year, and it's tied for the most in the NFL in that span. It's one thing to get sacks, it's one thing to get QB hits and pressure, but to get it that many forced fumbles as well. Why has he been so good at combining that with all of his other impressive stats?
Yeah, coming off that backside, sometimes he's great at chopping the quarterback's arm, and he's got great quickness, and he does a great job of timing it up and knocking the ball out.
And they were each moved around a little bit, that it seemed like Shaq was facing the left tackle a little bit more, playing from that right side a little bit more like he did last season. Was that a decision based on Shaq's strengths and JPP's strengths, or what the Chiefs were doing? What all factored into that decision? Yeah,
Casey does a good job matching those guys up in pass rush situations so that one guy doesn't get a beat on him and flip-flopping, and they've done a lot of that this year.
And we saw the great play by Ryan Smith on coverage team. I know he's a guy that you guys really brag on in that realm a lot, but he hasn't gotten his name called as much this year, usually because he's getting double or triple teamed out there as he tries to run down. So take us through that play and how great that was, and just what he has meant to special teams so far.
Yeah, he's our bell cow on special teams. And anytime he gets singled, we know there's going to be a play made. And the guy took a risk, not fair catching it, and he timed it up perfect. It was bang, bang. And then the rest of the time, he was double teamed, but he still got down there.
All right, well, we still have one more segment coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. We're going to look forward to the bye week and then the next upcoming opponent against the Vikings. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. I'm sure that it's like, finally, we have a bye week. I mean, this has just been such a long stretch, 12 weeks in a row. I'm sure the guys are feeling it. So for you, what are the pros and cons of having a bye week this late?
Well, the only pros is that we needed it bad, and the cons are a bunch. It's much better to have around week 7 where you can split the season in half. Again, we've had some guys just gut it up and play hurt and play with pain, but that's huge. The biggest thing for us this week is not anything other than get rest and beat the virus. Every team that's had a bye almost this year has come back with some form of case of the virus is spreading. And I told our guys, we got big 4 ball games coming up. We can't have 6 or 7 guys sitting home because of the virus. We've got to be very careful this week.
Yeah, and what are the ways that you guys as coaches use the bye week? We always hear about it for the players and them getting rested and all of that, but for you guys, I know it's not exactly just a week of vacation.
No, the big thing is we do a self-scout every week. We just go back and look a little bit more of it, add this ball game to it. It's obviously great to film and everything, and we'll have virtual meetings with the players on that individually, and then start getting ready for the final stretch. Looking at the Vikings, we have some guys looking at the Falcons and Detroit, so we're getting advanced scouting on all of them. But again, get our game plan ready for the Vikings, have our guys rested, and get back to it next week.
And so I know you guys probably haven't gotten as much into the Vikings yet as you would have in a normal time because of the bye week. But from right now, what are the big things that you know about? I mean, they've got several offensive weapons, and starting with guys like Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Kirk Cousins. What are the things looking at those guys that you already know you're going to have to be game planning for?
Stop the run. The Vikings, they're built on the run into play action. We've been good at stopping the run all year. We've got to do a better job against the bootlegs and the explosive plays, especially if Justin Jefferson plays. and Adam Thielen. So they've got good weapons down the field on the bootlegs, but it all starts stopping the run against them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time with us. And we hope you get some good rest and enjoy that bye week. And good luck against the Vikings.
All right. Thank you.
All right. That's going to do it for us on this edition of the Bruce Arians Show. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you in a couple weeks.